Every retro library hides at least one sports title that feels like it arrived from a parallel universe, recognizably football, yet wired together with quirks no FIFA or Pro Evo committee would dare ship. On the Super Nintendo, that honor belongs to World League Soccer, a cartridge Mindscape released in North America in April 1992. Japan had seen a slightly earlier build in 1991. It packs a full season mode, 24 anonymous national squads, and an enthusiasm for overhead passing angles that borders on experimental film. Is it a lost classic or a footnote? Both. It's the Schrodinger's cat of 16-bit football, simultaneously thrilling and bewildering until you hit reset. What I love is the game's refusal to pick a lane. One moment you're threading pinpoint 1-2s, the next you're watching keepers spill sitters as if the ball were coated in chip fat. That tension makes it indispensable palate cleanser whenever modern sims drown you in dual-stick finesse moves and licensing swagger. Historical context Mindscape was best known for educational PC discs and DOS adventure ports, not competitive sports. Yet, as the 1994 US World Cup loomed, publishers sensed a marketing gap. Americans might finally care about soccer, and Europe already had a booming console install base desperate for something beyond Kickoff 2's top-down pinball chaos. Enter World League Soccer, coded by C-Lab in tandem with Anko alumni. Yes, the same studio that had given home computer owners thumb blisters. Mindscape's pitch was grand, customizable league tables, weather toggles, and adaptive AI that would study your tactics. In magazine ads, the company bragged that its 16-bit ball engine had realistic momentum, a bold statement when most rival games still treated the ball like a glued-on sprite. The box art featured a generically heroic striker launching a bicycle kick in front of a CGI globe, a not-so-subtle promise of global scale without shelling out for real federations. My first encounter came through a local rental shop wedged between NBA Jam and the 7-Up mascot platformer Cool Spot. Curiosity, plus a 2-for-1 coupon, convinced me to give the no-name footballer a weekend trial. What landed in my console felt halfway between a simulation and a design thesis. Slower than Japan's sprint-happy Hyper Soccer, yet more methodical than EA's inaugural FIFA would be a year later. Mechanics. The match view uses a 3/4 overhead camera, angled just enough to hint at depth while preserving a full view of midfield geometry. Controls are straightforward. A passes, B shoots, Y slides, X sprints. Simple on paper, but nuance lurks behind every button hold. Passing physics rely on your player's facing angle, which means diagonal through balls bend unpredictably, occasionally rewarding you with delicious nutmegs, more often dribbling out for throw-ins. Shooting charges for power and well-timed releases generate top spin that can fool the AI keeper. Mistime it by a frame, and you'll sky volleys into digital nosebleeds. Slide tackles deserve a special mention. They cover nearly half the screen width as if every defender secretly studied Brazilian capoeira. Land one cleanly, and you'll dispossess opponents with a satisfying crunch sample. Mistime it, and the ref, rendered as a squat sprite in monochrome black, darts on screen to whistle a foul. Notably, fouls carry no card system, only free kicks. Consequence feels purely theatrical, which is perfectly in line with early 90s rule sets in many arcade sports. Season mode strings together home and away fixtures across 16 or 20 team tables, savable via 6-character passwords that mix numbers and hexadecimal letters. No SRAM chip here. Your championship lives or dies on notebook scribbles. Weather toggles flip the pitch palette from bright summer green to muddy olive drab, but don't seem to affect ball physics. An aesthetic flourish rather than simulation depth. AI adaptation. The marketing hook operates mostly through man-marking aggression. Bomb long balls down the wing every possession, and you'll notice fullbacks hugging touchlines tighter in later matches. Switch to tiki-taka triangles, and the CPU eventually clogs midfield with 2 holding midfielders. It's primitive but genuine. I tested by replaying the first fixture after a 10-match run, and confirmed the original tactics reappeared, suggesting opponents store a tiny tactical memory per team slot. No licensed athletes appear, so each roster defaults to placeholder surnames. Think M. Costa, R. Lars. But an options screen lets you edit 6 letters per player, an invitation for schoolyard wish fulfillment. My teenage squad sheet inevitably featured Gascoigne, Baggio, and me, anchoring central defense because who doesn't fancy themselves a sweeper? Audio loops exemplify 1992 tinny charm, a repeating crowd murmur beds 8-second intervals, goal celebrations blast an air horn that teeters between hype and harassment. There's no commentator, only occasional buzzer samples when the ref stops play. The soundtrack's single menu tune cycles 4 bars of chip brass melody, enough to become earworm material after an evening of table checking, legacy, and influence. Ask retro sports diehards about SNES football royalty, and they'll prioritize International Superstar Soccer Deluxe or maybe EA's FIFA 96. World League Soccer rarely enters starting at SNES debates, yet design strands quietly threaded into later projects. The variable man-marking prefigures stamina-based AI shifts in FIFA 98's World Cup edition. The editable team names foreshadow custom leagues that Konami eventually spun into the full-blown Master League. Even the single shared stamina meter at screen top, a bar that depletes with constant sprinting, resembles early endurance gauges before per-player systems took over. Commercially, the game stalled. Mindscape lacked EA's brand heft. C-Lab dissolved before pitching sequels. And by 1994, the market obsessed over fully licensed kits. Without real crests or star surnames, most players shelved the cartridge once flashier options arrived. That scarcity of fanfare means World League Soccer never fetched collector premiums. Today, you'll still find copies cheaper than a stadium hot dog, yet modders keep it alive. Patches on romhacking.net insert authentic 1994 squads, adjust sprite palettes to match accurate kits, and tweak shooting angles to curb those infamous crossbar clangers. A small Discord group even hosts monthly cup brackets via Parsec, embracing the idiosyncrasies as arena for skill expression. Watching them volley 25-yard screamers with pixel blobs delivers proof that mechanical purity can outlast brand polish. Closing paragraph plus score, modern football sims drown us in licensed likenesses, motion captured ankle braces, and tactical HUD overlays dense enough to make Pep Guardiola reach for a chalkboard. Booting World League Soccer today feels like slipping on vintage leather boots. Less supportive maybe, even downright squeaky, but somehow closer to the raw grass. It reminds you that tension in sports games isn't only about photoreal dribbles, sometimes it's 90 minutes of wrangling rough edges, hexcode passwords, super wide slide tackles, and that glorious moment when a 16-bit striker buries a top corner shot off a 2-button combo. Imperfect? Definitely. But perfection rarely triggers spontaneous laughter between friends on a couch at 2 a.m. Score, 7 out of 10. -1 for inconsistent AI moods, half a point for unlicensed anonymity, another half for melody loops that haunt your REM sleep, +2 for unsung tactical depth, era-defining customization hooks, and the sort of slide tackle that makes everyone in the room yell, "Oh!" even when it whistles back for a free kick. Fire it up with an open mind and discover that in football, as in life, charm often hides where the marketing spotlight never reached.